Hello there and welcome back to the Sound King podcast. Today, the place where we discuss and talk about everything regarding music and how much it can suck being a musician. Isn't it, Terry?
I was expecting to go for a little bit more of a positive approach, but, well...
Of course I'm joking, for God's sake.
Yes.
Am I?
I guess we're gonna find out.
Yeah, because can you introduce us to today's conversation before anything else?
Yeah.
The studio break, gotta be said from time to time.
First and foremost, hello girls and boys, how's it going? Very glad you're back, great to have you here. And today the point of this conversation is, as you saw in the title, titles are there for that, we're gonna be talking about emotional fortitude. And
what does that mean?
And the whole role that it plays in a career for a musician.
Yeah, so what do you mean by that?
I mean, being capable of handling
pressure,
everything that happens before you actually get to where you want to be.
Do you mean the truth?
The truth. You can't handle the truth.
That's part of the challenge, I guess.
That's part of the challenge, yes. That's step number one.
So where to begin?
Look, let's begin from the perspective of, let's say you have everything is required to succeed.
Yes.
You have the chops. Let's say you even have the connections. Right?
Money, connections, talent, and capability.
Yeah, nothing guarantees that even with that amalgamation of assets in your favor,
you're not necessarily there.
You're not necessarily there, or even if you have things playing in your favor, it doesn't mean that you're gonna succeed right away.
But at least you got it easier.
You got it easier, but it's still gonna take some time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at least some measure of being able to handle the process of getting there is gonna be required on every journey.
Yeah, that's a fact. That applies to every form of venture, not necessarily speaking just music.
100%. And I think that it's what a lot, or even most people get lost along the way. It's not because they didn't have the chops, it's not because they didn't have what was needed from a more pragmatic approach for them to succeed, but they weren't prepared at a mental, emotional, philosophical even outlook to deal with all of the process of getting there, which is comprised of many things, is comprised of many letdowns, is comprised of many struggles, and we can try to have a deeper look into all of that.
Yeah, let's begin by first understanding or setting a clear image in our heads of what means to make it, to be there, because where is there?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody could have a completely different understanding or approach to describing what could be considered to be success, right?
Yeah.
That's something that it's up to every single one of us. And it depends on how we understand reality, how much is required for such success to be acquired. But there is one thing that is important. There is, qualitatively speaking, moments or achievements that can be used to describe what success actually looks like. For example, making a living doing a particular skill, right? In this case, music. That's already a sign of success.
Yeah.
Where variety or where the whole relatability of the issue comes in would be on how much should be earned as a professional musician in this case for it to be considered a success. Some people could be content with just making ends meet, or making $1 billion per week.
Yeah.
That would be the sign of success. That's up to every single one of us to decide. The thing is this: getting to that point, it's not an easy road. And that applies to every profession. Okay, so I don't want you, and this could be my first piece of advice. This and everything you do in life has to be approached through the same way. Everything comes with its caveats. Everything has its own set of hardships and difficulties that will be there, and the only reason why they exist is to ruin your life and make you miserable. But they exist for that very reason, and you exist to vanquish and surpass those perils and those problems. You have to find solutions to those problems. So, with that in mind, you have to look at the musical career as a career itself, not as a musical career, if that makes sense. I don't know, but what I mean by this is that why would a doctor see himself in a different fashion than a musician? Let me explain. Somebody who goes to medicine school and finishes it off already sees himself as a professional, and they sell themselves as a professional. A musician, I am a musician. not a professional. I'm a musician. That's already a problem because in your mind you're already setting certain limitations, and you're already diminishing the quality of what you have to offer for society, due to the fact that you are not healing people, but you're still providing a service.
Yeah.
And let's use a different profession to compare musicians to. A lawyer. A lawyer can do many more things than helping people. And still we have them in a much more higher pedestal than a musician. And it begins with whom? The musician himself.
Yeah.
So by stating the first step, which is finding respect for your own career choices, and finding and defining yourself as a professional in your field, is the first and most important thing you gotta do. If you go there always saying that I'm a musician, but I'm also a carpenter, or I am a musician but I went to medical school.
I'm a musician, but I am a lawyer by profession.
Yes.
Which is something that you hear quite a lot.
Yeah, that's already getting you unprepared to deal with the hardships that comes with a profession and a career in music. And again, this is not exclusive to it, because if you're an entrepreneur, any single one of you who are mad enough to decide to start off a business venture, you will be facing the same issues. Because when you do your own, when you run your own business, you are not selling products, you are selling yourself, and not in a physical fashion, if you know what I mean.
Well, that may be one.
That might be, but that's
unrecommended.
We live in this world in which is being trying to be portrayed as an actual profession. Well, wherever, you know what I mean, allegedly. So, what you sell is you as a person, you as an individual, who has something to offer that it's of value. But if you don't pay respect to yourself from the beginning, people won't get, or would give you the chance to appreciate what you have to offer. What do you think?
It makes perfect sense, because I think the whole thing about looking at a career in music, as you would to any other, it has its own particularities, but I think as a starting point, we should take ourselves as seriously as any other career does. Even from a time frame perspective as well, because let's say you use medicine as one example. Let's extrapolate a little bit upon that. A person that has decided to go down the path of medicine is going to be looking at least at 4 years, probably 5, just being at school, and then after that it's going to be I think another 2 years of residency, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And until that person considers himself or finds themselves in a position to be acting as a professional medic. I'm not saying that you should wait 7 years to start your career as a musician, but the same way as that the medic had to prepare himself mentally and even financially to spend the first 7 years of his career, even though he didn't begin working yet, he's already on the path to becoming a doctor. I think a similar approach should be used in music as well, from the perspective that you should be ready to spend the first few years not necessarily generating.
No.
You're going to be pursuing. And if you can be generating, excellent. I hope that you can.
If only there was a name for such an activity. It's called investing.
Yes.
You're investing instead in you and your skills and your capabilities on achieving what you are aiming for. So that's a mentality that I want to first instill in any single one of you watching, before we actually delve into what could be the problems and the emotional load that comes with running this business, musically oriented business. What would be the first one that comes to mind besides the self-doubt? Because self-deprecating attitudes are one of the biggest and more consistent problems that any single entrepreneur has, and in music is even more intense, I think, because what you produce is coming out of your heart. It's actually very personal already.
And vulnerable. Artistic expression as a whole, I think.
That applies to any form of artistic. So what do you think would be the first one?
I think because of this, I actually already getting that hook. I think frustration from exactly that aspect of, since you're pouring yourself out through your music in a way, when in the beginning, by nature itself, you're not going to succeed on day one.
No.
More than likely, you're not going to even be received with a positive response the first time you perform live, or the first ventures that you take. So since we're talking about something that is a representation of you, your music, your artistic expression, I think the the blowback that comes at an emotional level from that is way higher than simply, let's say, not doing well on your first gig or on something else. Let's say you're advertiser.
Yes.
It doesn't hit as personally and as deeply as in music.
Because one is business, the other one is an artistic expression.
Yeah.
So let's begin from there. What would be the first sentiment that you could develop? Self-doubt?
I think self-doubt, we already covered self-doubt as something that comes even before that. I would put the first one as frustration.
Frustration, okay. I like that one. Let's begin, because self-doubt, I would say it's a byproduct of being frustrated with the lack of results. Because I would say that the first thing I'm going to use my own experience, okay, and take it forward. It's just anecdotal at best. But if you want to share yours, please do, because that's actually part of the point of this conversation. So look, frustration, I think, is a good starting point, because you put tons of hours and you pour your life and soul into your craft, just for it to be ignored at the venue that you had the chance to, were lucky enough to land. And if your ego is big enough and inflated enough, you're gonna think that you deserve their attention just by showing up. That's the first big ass lesson that you have to learn. And it hits hard, man, because you think that, man, my music is so good. As soon as I play the first chord, everybody is gonna be looking at me, and in a matter of seconds, panties will be flying my way. And brass. And of course, if you're lucky and something is flying your way, it's gonna be something heavy and dangerous. So that's the first thing that you have to. It's the first pill to swallow, and it's always the toughest one. You got a commenter?
Harry is saying hello. Good evening. Good to have you here once again.
Sure.
And since we're talking here about basically the early experience, basically every musician faces. If you have some story, something that relates to this to share, we would appreciate that input as well.
Vent your frustrations. Okay.
Yeah, but this thing that you're describing, this whole thing about acknowledging that you're not the center of the universe and that you actually need to earn people's attention.
Very tough, right?
It's tough because it should be logical. It should be obvious.
Yeah, but
once you're there on that spot, it really is a moment of realization.
Look, in my case, since I have always been a thinker, when I first had that issue, I realized that the issue that one of the sources of this problem was the lack of quality in the sound of what I was doing. So I put as much effort and threw as much money as I could back in the day, getting better gear. I even acquired my own PA system and stuff, and it was a big ass, stupidly heavy, super cumbersome piece of crap. But it was what I could buy. I was a kid, man. I was like 17 years old. So it's what I could get, and I used wherever gear I could get as well for the rest of the band. And I even had the microphone that I bought for that very purpose is behind me. It's the first microphone I ever bought.
Okay.
Look at that. And then I realized that, okay, it's not that bad sounding. Now I suck. My performance were terrible. I wasn't entertaining. And how I knew that, how I realized that, by watching my performances being recorded by somebody using camcorder. It was before the smartphone thing. It was a few years before the smartphone became a thing. There were already smartphones, but you get me.
They weren't so commonplace.
No common. And the quality wasn't there when it came to the video. So, whatever. I watch those performances and, man, I'm very boring. So, I put the effort on trying to be a little bit more entertaining and much more engaging. And it took me years. But then when I realized that I wasn't that bad, my music sucks. And that was the hardest pill to swallow. And that's when you that takes you to the next stage. Am I good enough? Should I be doing something else?
Look, before we
Am I wasting my time?
Before we move on to the next stage, because I think that's a whole new kind of work.
It's just the opening for the next one.
Yeah, but look, before we move on to that, because I think you mentioned something that is worth diving a little bit deeper down. The whole thing about being entertaining. Of course, the person singing, the frontman is usually the one where that falls more heavily. But everybody. In an ensemble needs to be entertaining. And I think one of the core issues when it comes to being entertaining is not because you're not an entertaining person.
No.
It's because you don't feel confident enough on stage to be able to project something that is actually entertaining.
But the thing is, man, that the confidence that you exude on the stage it's very different from the one that you got in the real world.
Yeah.
Because in real world, I am very obnoxious. I'm very aware of my personality.
I can attest to that.
Yes, and I tend to be quite upfront. On the stage, you gotta crank it up to a point on which it's even insane. It's way too annoying. It's way too obnoxious. I'm thinking right now of David Lee Roth. He could have been very. He was gigantic on the stage, right? But on real life, he was that, but less.
Yeah.
To a point that was actually measurable, not measurable.
Manageable.
Manageable, exactly. Because if he was as big as he was on the stage, nobody would like to. Nobody would spend a second with him.
Yeah.
It would be way too big, way too much, way too much of even a good thing, man.
Yeah.
So, in that point, you start to think, and it's my whole personal experience. You start to reconsider if maybe even you yourself is what is not made for this job. Because you start to think, man, I am not entertaining. I'm boring.
Yeah.
You start to doubt about your own qualities as a person, man.
But that's another mistake.
It is a mistake. I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm not saying that is right.
Yeah.
I'm just exposing some of the potential happenings.
No, and it is a common way to look at it, because for some reason, again, people don't treat music or this career path the way that they would treat others. Because let's say you decided to go the route of IT. I look at myself now. I don't know how to code. Learn coding.
Yeah.
So, and the same goes for being entertaining live.
That's why I wanted to start off this conversation by establishing that you should treat this and everything being said and everything that we expose here should be treated from a professional perspective, the same way as you would if you were dealing with another one.
Yeah. So, Hermaya, do you think that surviving with music now is harder than before? Maybe in the 80s? That's a good question.
That's actually a great question.
Yeah.
Look, I've been able to survive for a decade plus. Only doing music. The thing is that the way I did it was by first. Look, I'm gonna give you my whole once again personal experience, but at least I can attest to it working. To what degree? That's up for debate, but it has allowed me to do this. Look, when I started off taking music seriously, the first thing that I did was dropping out of school. So because how can I become a professional on something if I had to spend and divide my time getting good at something else that has nothing to do with my actual aspiration as a professional, right? So first thing, out of school. Secondly, when I was out, I was like, damn, I have a huge debt to pay. How can I make money using my talent at that point, because it was the only thing I got in music, recording. I can charge people to produce their stuff. Okay, let's invest whatever money I got left on learning the skill, the craft. So I enrolled myself in several recording. It wasn't schools. It was more like
courses.
Because there is no such a thing as recording studio skills school. There is not a degree that you can get, right? And it shouldn't. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's stuff. It's a craft. It's like learning blacksmithing.
Yeah.
So you gotta go with someone who knows and work there for a while and learn and absorb as much as you can. So I did, and then whatever I got left of my savings, I spent whatever I could on getting a place ready for it. Okay. Once I did, I started investing on selling myself as a professional. Blah 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 blah. Of course, I sucked. I had to learn, so I had to do many jobs for free, surviving. And I always say that I had to live under my desk because I spent years sleeping under my desk. And you learn many things. One of them is that the floor is kind of comfortable. It's the first one you learn. But wherever. And you're always concerned of cockroaches. Yeah. You don't know for real, because you don't know exactly what's going on the floor when you're sleeping, for real. And for whatever reason, they don't crawl over your bed.
Well, good fortune.
That's what we try to convince ourselves that happens. But whatever, I digress. What I'm trying to tell you is that I managed to get this business running because at that point there was the craze in my city for indie bands. Indie bands were everywhere, and everywhere was trying to make a record. So there was job for everybody at different price ranges. That allowed me to position myself in a good point. I, competitively speaking, put my efforts on making myself viable, but at the same time making my rates high enough for it to, well, allow me to fulfill my destiny. And what was that? My point was to launch my band. This venture that you're watching is the third push in that objective. Have we achieved it? No. Why? Freaking something happened in 2020, and that halted the entire second impact. And when we moved over to YouTube and starting, because we suck at it still, we're learning our way. This is what I call the third impact. And it's each impact is taking us closer to that successful objective, right? So now coming back to the ending, to the original question, I think today, if you focus mainly on music, it's harder than it was in the 80s. But if you focus on, hopefully we didn't get demonetized. If you focus on getting and managing to attract notoriety towards you, it's easier than ever. Because we got streamers, we got influencers that either play video games or just do this, and on Instagram, and just the whole thing with OnlyFans, for as much as it's cancerous and it's a terrible byproduct of our stupid, terrible society that we have to live in, the fact that they are running their businesses like that tells you that if you sell yourself correctly to the medium such as this one, you can. There is a comment.
Yeah, just before we move on from the previous comment, I'll do my take on the matter.
Go ahead.
Because I think you tackled it from a more pragmatic perspective. I'm gonna go from a more emotional perspective because it's also kind of it's the point of the conversation. But look, I think talking about the emotional load and the emotional fortitude that it takes to get there, or to push through that period in time that we're talking about, I think on the 80s compared to now, I think now might be a little bit harder because I think the journey that the musician took in the 80s was a little bit more reliant on doing the stuff that is fun, the stuff that we want to do, which is make music.
Yes.
It had always side quests.
Yes.
Okay, this is nothing new. There was always external skills that you needed to have outside of music in order to succeed. But I think now, in order to make a dent or to even have a chance, it relies more on things external to music than before. So that's why I think, emotionally speaking, is a little bit more of a load, because you're even more pushed to learn stuff that you didn't want, or to do things that you didn't want, in order to do what you actually want.
Yeah, maybe it's because my mindset has always been as an entrepreneur, and the way I always approach to problems related to this is solutions. And I have this saying here that don't think in terms of solutions, not in terms of problems. And that actually, it's a good mentality to have, because you look at the same situation, but instead of focusing on the problems, okay, how can I fix this? I hate it, let's deal with it. And it changes many things. So address the comment.
So the next comment by Hermetics, I think that nowadays it's hard just because of so many informations we got every second.
Agreed.
So everything is ephemeral, even the music.
100%, man.
Yes,
100%.
that's true.
That's why I put the look. We're coinciding with that. Because that's why I made quite clear that if you focus mostly on music, it's gonna be super tough. Because everything that is not relationship related, like this conversation we're having, makes everything forgettable. Because everything is futile at that stage. There has to be a real connection. And I think, again, even though I'm the crowd, always with the bad omens with me, I still see that this is the saving grace for art in general. Because by having access to these tools, we can create these connections and have these conversations with every single one of you watching. And I think every musician, every serious artist should drive his attention over these kind of techniques and these kind of mediums, because now your YouTube has a name for a reason. It's because, originally speaking, it was you becoming the television. Nowadays the television is not YouTube, but wherever. The point of this is that making that connection, that particular personal connection, and that uniqueness, and that original factor that comes with this, and the immediacy that allows that is allowed by the use of the live streams, it's breaking new ground.
Yeah.
It's actually allowing for the creation of a new batch of artistry to become the norm. How many people are doing it? Not many, being very frank. That's why we don't know what to do, and we're testing everything.
Yeah.
Because we're coming up with ideas and is hoping for one to stick.
Look, and actually that can be a segue to a new point, because the whole thing about being testing, in the end, for as much as you can try to extrapolate from, let's say, what worked from Pink Floyd, what worked from Queen, what worked from Led Zeppelin, it doesn't mean that if you do exactly the same, it's gonna work for you. So in the end, we're all testing.
Yes.
And there's another layer to the frustrations that you have to face, which is not knowing if you're actually on the right path.
Agreed. There's a comment, because this is gonna be the segue to the next.
Okay. Do you believe that people today don't listen to albums? They prefer listening to playlists. I can't love the journey of an album. You're a sane person.
You're a sane person.
Yeah.
That's why we like you. And look, what you just said is very important and very correct.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is some form of reaction to that. Again, doing my understandings of the current zeitgeist, there is a trend that it's becoming more prevalent with Gen Z, which is they are discovering physical media. And we might laugh at it because we grew up with it, right?
Yeah.
The thing is that if you were a kid that was born in 2000, you are now 25. That means that when you were 10 years old of age, Blu-rays were already, it was the last foray into physical media. At that stage, music, your entire life, music has always been through digital formats, not digital formats because CD is digital.
Yeah.
That through downloads,
Yeah.
because iTunes was already the king of music distribution. Even video games, that guy was got there when Steam was already Steam.
Yeah.
So the kid probably never had access to actual music on CD format, and by definition, the push of playlist, which I can't stand, I don't even understand the point, because why would you let music being chosen by somebody else, hoping for you to like it? That makes no sense whatsoever. It's ridiculous, because if you have access to the same tools as the guy does, why don't you just pick the one? Oh, I like this one, save it. I like this one, save it. Like, you are already curating your own music. So what's happening is that Gen Z is discovering physical media, and they are starting to enjoy CDs. They are buying CDs, and don't believe me, look it up. You'll see that even vinyl is becoming much more. It's selling more than ever in the last 40 years. Why? Because people are up to here. A good chunk of people, not everybody, hashtag not all, but a good chunk of people are up to here with the idea of being forced down into their heads what they should listen to. So they are, okay, look at this, I can own it. Can I own it? Wow. So the album concept, I think, will become relevant at one point later on. How soon? Don't know. But I think it's starting to become a thing. And proof, everybody's still releasing albums.
Yeah.
So there is a reason, and it's not legacy, because for a while we were trying to be. They tried to gaslight us into just releasing singles because that's what sells. Why are they still releasing albums? And the single has been there since forever. So this is taking us to the next section. Self-doubt.
Okay.
Because I think that's probably where most talent goes to die.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Because frustration is the first reaction. When you're frustrated, it's because something is not working the way you expected it to work, and you're still grinding your ass around. You're trying to find a solution to the problem, and nothing seems to stick. And this idea creeps in. It's because you are not good enough. It's because you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Why didn't you listen to everybody who told you that you shouldn't be playing drums?
You don't have what it takes.
You don't have what it takes, man. Just go back.
Yeah.
Have it simple. Don't think that bigly. I guess, I have heard that so many times.
Yeah, but you're putting it in almost a joke kind of tone. But in the end, this is very real, and a lot of people, I'd say even most, fall prey to exactly this.
Yes, man.
Because that's probably the true test of the emotional fortitude that is the core of this conversation.
I would insert testicular fortitude. And that was actually the title, but Thiago convinced me.
Due to YouTube reasons, we decided not to go with testicular fortitude. because we are an inclusive entity, and we also can
Are you
see
saying that
represented testicular fortitude in women.
do I have to tell you that we live in a world on which
Yeah.
even women today can have testicular fortitude?
Because women artists out there
Let's-
also
Let's
require
stop there because
fortitude.
we're gonna get in trouble. So whatever.
Regardless, but look, the whole thing.
God damn.
The thing is,
Yes.
and I think that's probably the first thing to keep in mind.
Yeah.
All of this that we're saying shouldn't come across as a surprise, and I think that's step number one to being ready to some degree for it.
Yeah.
Is not being caught with your pants down. You should expect all of this.
Because when that happens, you have like 5 seconds to put them on.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, her mom is arriving like you're, or whatever.
Yeah.
Sideways.
So you
Not totally based on a real story.
Yeah. No, but for real, all of this should not only be, oh, it might happen to me. No, it will happen to you.
Yeah.
It happened to me, it happened to him, and it will happen to you
Yeah.
at a given point in time.
And I don't want to give you details on how I felt when she was opening the door.
So, step number one, be prepared, at least from a vision perspective, for not being caught with your pants down
Yeah.
when it does happen. You should know, okay, it's coming. I don't know if it's coming today or if it's coming tomorrow, but it's coming. I will feel that
I'm gonna stop because you're in my ideas now.
I will feel that I'm not good enough.
Okay.
I will doubt myself.
Yeah.
I will doubt that I'm on the correct path. All of this is bound to happen.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't question. You should question because let's say you find yourself not succeeding.
Yeah.
You should question, okay, am I doing something wrong? That's a very valid concern. But it's very different from thinking, I don't think I'm good enough.
But look, there is a point on which every single one of us has to acknowledge that something, if it hasn't moved forward, it's because something is not working.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things that have to be addressed is the first one. Am I the one who is not working? Could it be that my vision, my trajectory, the way that I am poising this path to be followed is the one that is giving me problems? Because in the end, it is you. Because it's your decisions, it's everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
What we should be quite mindful is that that's the beauty of today's world, having access to recording capabilities, every single one of us musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Record yourself, even if it's not at a high standard.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. It has to be. I do it with my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and out of the guitar, my voice and phone. I had a huge problem there because I'm writing music, and I did it with a synth. But instead of recording it on the computer, I recorded it on the phone. So, no, man. I was singing to the synthesizer, I'm like, damn, how can I get it? Because I wanted to expand upon the freaking song. Oh, that's segue. What I'm saying is that give yourself reference points. If you start to think of you being not good enough as a musician, yes, I might not be. Let's see. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. Does it suck? No. It was made by you? Yes. No, you're good. Therefore, wherever is not working is not your craft, is the execution of the other parts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first, and that comes from what? Fortitude.
Yeah.
Because you need to be strong enough to recognize and have the balls, the testicular fortitude, for those of you who feel the need to be included.
Yeah.
To realize and face the music, pun intended, because it could be that you're not good.
Yeah.
It could be that you're just a madman. And it's better to accept the truth soon enough than way later in life when you already crossed the no turning back point.
Yeah.
And that could be, there's some comments.
Yeah, just before we finish with this, I think I was trying to make the discernment, and maybe I wasn't clear enough at it,
Go.
of the difference between questioning your actions, questioning your current skills, questioning your plan, but not necessarily questioning yourself.
Agreed.
Because I think you should question your actions. You should question if you're currently good enough,
Yep.
or what needs to be improved, what needs to be learned. But I think a lot of the problem is when you stop trying to use this questioning as a tool for what should I improve at or what should I work at.
Yep.
And it begins to be only a self-deprecating tool where you, okay, this is not meant to be. I have no means, and it becomes more the fittest. Is
The
that
fittest.
it?
The fittest.
Yeah, approach to this same mentality, because the whole thing we question is not a problem. It's actually correct. We
You
should
need to
question
do it.
everything.
Yeah.
And that's where the answers come from.
Yes.
Questions.
Yeah.
But when you start to put your own ability to improve at doubt, that is the defeatist route, and it's actually lazy.
It is
because
lazy,
you
man.
can always improve. You can always work on something.
Yeah. By how? By recognizing that you suck at
Yes.
everything.
So comments. I think as a musician, you need more than one career. There's a reason why they say musicians are broke and live off their girlfriends. Before we address that,
Yes.
let's keep going. Like the no, this is Joss. Sorry, hey Joss, how's it going? I didn't realize it was from. Okay, and Joss, like the song says, get a haircut and get a real job. Before we move on to other comments, I actually do have something to say about that, which is I don't necessarily agree with the thing about musicians should always have a side gig going on.
No, but look. I'm gonna. This is what I understood. Okay.
Okay.
I think as a musician and as entrepreneur, you gotta learn and admit that you will have to wear different hats throughout your life.
Yeah.
And at one point in life, you gotta be the businessman. The next one, the marketeer. The next one, the musician. The next one, the mixing engineer. And then square one, once again, back as a businessman. Because those who fail are the ones who stick to, I'm a musician, I'm an artist, and that's the only thing I do.
Yeah.
So, man, what's the point of you writing music if nobody listens to it?
Yeah.
That's not music, man. That's just wasted potential.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Look,
I think
maybe about an issue with framing here, because the
Yes.
way I would frame is that the first goal for anybody pursuing anything should be sustainability. You need to make whatever you want to do
Yeah.
survive on its own legs. That can be done with something on the side, or that can be done finding ways to make whatever it is that you know profitable at that point in time.
Make yourself valuable.
Even using the example that you gave us, or the early days of your career, I can record people. I'm gonna make that skill be valuable to other people,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna make money from that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the end game.
No.
It was a part of the process
Yeah.
in the musician's journey.
Yeah, it was. I simply saw the writing on the wall because Joss is correct.
Yeah.
If you stick to music, you're gonna have a terrible hard time making it, because we are no longer in those days, especially now after 2020, on which you could make a living just by gigging, and that's something that was only exclusive to certain countries in the world. By the way, it wasn't everywhere.
Yeah.
And let's say that you had the bad luck of being born in a place that it's virtually impossible to have to make a living as a rock and roller. Well, bad luck, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with the internet now, you can break through. You have a chance, man. Because you might be in Filipinas, nothing against Filipinas. I'm simply saying that it's very far from everything.
Yeah.
So that means that even acquiring gear, it's already expensive. It's already, there is a high entry point, man. And finding people who would be into rock music in Philippines, I don't know how big the scene is, but I can tell that not every it might be in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if rock is even allowed.
I don't think it is.
Just saying. So in my end,
Yeah. But look, I think there's another part of this issue that is just the mental approach to the whole thing. Because look, there's a very big difference in between you attesting to yourself, I am a musician, I can't, my music can't maintain me at this point in time.
Yeah.
So, as just a product of these circumstances, I'm gonna pursue a means to an end, while music remains at the forefront, even though it's not the one that's supplying my life right now. From, okay, I am whatever, I'm a waiter, and I do music on the side.
Yes.
It's a different mental approach.
Okay.
And I think that if you're pretending you have the intent of pursuing a career in music, you should commit to that idea. It shouldn't be something that is happening on the side.
It's a means to an end.
Yeah, the side
The
thing.
side thing is a means
It's
to
a
an
means
end.
to an end.
Exactly.
Because I understand if you find yourself in a position where the music can't supply for your life, of course you're not gonna die. You're not gonna starve just because no, I'm a musician.
Yes, that out of principle, I'm gonna
No,
Amen.
of course not.
No.
But he should have that mindset of okay, music is the plan, is the route.
That's what I think. That's what I understood from the comment.
Okay.
That you need to be able to accept that you cannot stick to one thing, and you gotta be ready because actually, Jeremiah also had a question similar to that one. That today, if you focus on music, you're gonna be going through hell on earth because it's very difficult to monetize it nowadays. That music is. When was the last time you bought an album? Well, I'm not a good example because I'm actually buying albums.
Yeah, well, mine it's actually been a while.
But the vast majority of people are simply subscribing to Spotify. That means that making money out of the product itself is no longer a viable option. You gotta come.
Okay, so I don't know if I missed any comment going up, but I'm gonna go from what I have here.
I'm gonna fix it.
Okay. But what I have here is Jeremiah saying, yes, I also doubt myself a lot. Sometimes it stops me from creating. And it does happen to the best of us. I think that the whole thing with doubt, it's not that nobody's impervious to it. I think everybody is gonna feel it to different degrees. I think that the gist of this is actually finding ways to not let it overcome you.
If I may give you my own solution to that problem, exercise creativity, and by that I mean do exercises on which you simply sit down with no purpose other than simply practicing creativity. By that I mean pick up a guitar, pick up an instrument, wherever you use as your main driving force or main creative tool to develop ideas, and F around for a while with no objective whatsoever and expecting it to be sucking, but try stuff. The more you do that, the more you start to see that there are more things that can be done. Sometimes you discover stuff, and this is when music theory kicks in. This is why it's so important, because if you learn music theory after you learn music, very different things, that will allow you to use a theoretical approach to circumvent the writer's block by exercising creativity and exercising music theory. The theory is there for a reason. It's not only to be ignored, because that's also another skill to develop. Because those who focus on the theoretical aspect, their music sounds theoretical, not musical. Yeah. And those who focus on the musical aspect, their music becomes very to say me, because they find themselves cornered out of the possibilities because they don't know more, and it's not because they lack talent. So get yourself out there. Look, show them the book. I got one of the many books here. That one, the drum pattern.
Yeah. So
look,
is this camera working? No, it is.
No, it's not. It died, but you can use that one.
Yeah.
Look, this is a book that I bought recently, and it's basically drum patterns, but not for drummers. This is for what's the name of this? Drum machines.
I'm very convinced that he's trying to replace me.
Yeah, of course. The thing is that why did it? Because I suck at it. No, for real. Yeah. And why? Because even though I understand rhythm quite well, and I appreciate a lot percussions and drums and everything.
Why wouldn't you?
Of course, it's very important for music. I always have find myself struggling with developing drum patterns on a drum machine. I can do it by hand, but when it comes to drum machines, for the sole inception, the way it works, it makes it hard for me. Why? It's not my brain doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But I bought this because these are my scales. Learn them little by little, and what I do whenever I have some time to spare, instead of effing around on YouTube, I pick up my machine and practice, and that's it. I'm not expecting to write music, but I hit golden very often. Why? This unlocks ideas. So find solutions to circumvent the problems. Again, there was a problem. Instead of focusing on the problem, I focus on the solutions.
And look, once again bringing this back to the core of the issue here, the stickler Fortitude.
Yes.
What you're mentioning here, the whole thing about being stuck, creatively speaking, because of insecurities or doubts, it can start a very, very derailing snowball effect.
You can.
Because if you let it take over you, then it's gonna be worse and worse and worse until you already a thing of the past.
Yes.
So the whole thing about this theoretical approach, I think is a great tool to put yourself in motion, even when, let's call it motivation, is not doing the trick. Because as a professional, there's another thing to consider here. If you're taking it professionally, there are days you're going to be motivated, there are days you won't, and you have to do it anyway.
Yep.
So having the tools to be able to perform, to do it, even when you're not feeling it, is also something that keeps you in motion, and you gotta be in action for creativity, inspiration, whatever you want to call it, to strike.
Yes.
Because it might happen that one day you're in your bed and you're gonna wake up and
Great Scott!
I have the next masterpiece.
Yes.
But more than likely, what's gonna happen is you're gonna be doing something, and then something's gonna click.
What you're basically saying is throw shit to the wall.
It's-
Something will eventually stick.
Exactly, but basically the core of what I'm saying is don't really don't let yourself be inactive.
Yes.
Because of this emotional aspect of it.
Yeah.
Do it even if it's
When it hurts,
Yeah.
when it's the worst, is when you have to do it the hardest, because it's the test. Regardless of you finding yourself in a religious or not mindset, look at it as the test of the evil forces that wants to stop you from doing something good. And when they attack you like that, is because you are vulnerable. And if you see it as such, you attack double and harder. Why? If you let them take over, you won't recover from that one. Every inch of ground you lose during those battles is lost almost forever. So fight tooth and nail. And I know it's gonna hurt because it's tough. I feel ya, bro. But if you don't put up a fight, you're already losing.
Yeah.
So have the mentality of fighter. There are more comments.
So
Try to catch up.
It said, okay, if Milli Vanilli can be musicians, so can I. That's a good way to look at
That's
it.
a good way. You're looking at the glass
Yeah.
semi full.
Yeah, almost overloaded.
Yeah. Well, that's like drowning.
Yeah, a good point, Joss. And Joss now is mentioning here, Mick Jagger said he had to learn the financial management part of the biz
I agree.
because he got tired of getting ripped off.
Totally. Look at that, and it's coming from the Jag. So it's clearly that we have to admit as musicians that we're not musicians, we're businessmen, and that's one of the things that I always try to convince people here at the studio, that they should look at themselves as such.
Yeah.
And now doing this YouTube gig is part of you have heard me saying this so many times before, because if you see this as a business, there is a way to make it profitable.
Yeah.
As the capitalist speaker that I am, I know for a fact that if you put the effort correctly and you invest wherever you got, as little as you have, in the right emotions, things start to change.
Yeah.
But it has to come from your mindset. It's even metaphysical, if you wish. It's something that esoteric almost. You gotta be already kind of playing the ball before the ball is even in front of you. You're not the spoon is bending wherever, that cliche from the Matrix. That's shit. Yeah, you get me. You get it. Let's cover the rest of the
No,
comments.
I think we actually, for the time being, we have the comments covered. But look,
Sorry, that was a terrible.
look, from the perspective of getting those peripheral skills going. And I wouldn't say that business is a peripheral skill. I think it's the main one.
It's the main one.
Music, I think, is the peripheral. But
It is.
Regardless. Another, if we didn't have enough reasons for those, another one is fostering that confidence that comes out of feeling that you're in control.
Because this is actually the next challenge, emotional challenge that requires testicular fortitude.
Yeah.
Out of frustration, you got self-doubt. Now is confidence, developing the confidence without becoming cocky. Because if somebody told me once that confidence is arrogance under control, and because you need to be arrogant, but
You gotta earn it.
you gotta earn it.
Yeah.
And also you gotta know how much and when, and for how long that arrogance is needed. Because if you are perceived as cocky, you're closing doors even just by looking at them. But if you are not perceived as capable, the doors are gonna be even manned by somebody pointing a gun at you. A pew pew, sorry. Why? Because you're not. You don't look the part. So where to start?
That's a tough one because look, let's use one example that I think is kind of emblematic when it comes to the whole cocky attitude things. The
Cristiano Ronaldo?
No, the guitar player.
Many?
I had the name in my mind and it slipped just because.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
No, I don't know if he plays guitar. No,
He's now a
crazy fast, crazy cocky Malmsteen.
but he's not cocky.
No, look, that's exactly the point that I'm trying to get. Everybody not only considers but knows that he's a cocky bastard.
Is he cocky or is he simply acknowledging?
But look, that's exactly the point in question. I think it's fair to say that he's one of the greatest guitar players that ever lived.
Ever.
I think that's something that is beyond content.
Yeah, he's among
Yeah,
gods.
regardless of liking the music or not, that's beyond the point. He's that good.
Yeah.
So, is there a point where, considering that he's one of the best ever, where it could be considered arrogance, even though he has proven that he earned it?
No, that's why I don't see him as an arrogant prick. I see him as someone who acknowledges
How good he is.
how good he is and how much he has achieved in life.
Yeah.
Because he is not only in Molstin, he owns several Ferraris. He has toured the world so many times that he doesn't even remember. He doesn't even remember. His wife is hot. There is an interview with Rick Beato here on YouTube on which he asked, what are you gonna do for a weekend? I'm gonna smoke a cigar, meet my wife, and drive my Ferrari. Is that being cocky? No, he answered to the question.
Yeah.
The thing is that the guy is that good because he also says one thing in that interview. That's a good interview. I recommend you to watch it.
Yeah.
He mentions once a particular moment on which they were recording an album. I don't remember which one. I think it was Rising Force. Badass. Yeah, the song. Rising Force. Oh, such a great track, and it's actually not the title track for the X-Men cartoon in Japan. Look it up. It's actually badass. The opening with that track is damn. That we're like, damn, I would have watched that. No, the intro alone was enough for me. But whatever. He says that there was a point on which the producer was telling him that he had to play less because, and his argument was less is more, and he couldn't fathom how could less be more? More is more. Less is less. I'm like, that's so stupid but so meaningful.
Yeah.
Because he's right. If what you do is more, do more. Because the reason why people either loves him or hates him is because he's more to its fullest.
Yeah.
Sometimes it lands. The vast majority of times it does.
Yeah.
But sometimes it gets you're damn.
Yeah.
I can't. This is too much of more.
I can't even can.
I can't even can. Yeah, it seems like what the hell. But it's that good. It could be self-indulgence. Maybe. Maybe. But it works. And the mentality is what allowed him to be who he is.
Yeah.
Because when he started off, it was the 80s, man. Eddie was already there.
Yeah.
And the guitar god was actually popular. It was actually a role model for everybody. So I have to remind you of Marty McFly.
Yeah.
And what he does first, he hooks up his weird-ass red guitar to the gigantic speaker because it couldn't be cooler than that, man. That shows you how far we have fallen from the tree.
Yeah.
There's a comment.
Okay, Malmsteen's a virtuoso but very narcissistic. I've been to his shows and he never sells out.
No.
I don't see big crowds with him. I think it's because of his attitude.
Well, look, I've been to his concerts as well, but maybe it's regional because in here he packed it. And also, he was that freaking loud, he blew up several Marshalls, man. I know because a friend of mine worked during that time for the backline company. He said, man, he blew him up. Like, I know, man, I was there. He was deafening. There was a point in which he was just cranking it up to a point in which it was louder than this. You could feel the... yeah, that's how Marshall actually sounds like, but damn! I own one, and I have never dared to cross the dreaded number 3, man.
The 3?
No, man. The thing is that I think something similar happens to PBs, 5150s. After 4, it can go louder. Because that's no, man. It's absurd. and it's full raw. It's just adding more distortion. That's why. No, damn it. Oh shit. Those were the days, man, when you could actually crank up an amplifier like that.
Look, I have a quick question. That is a bit of a tangent, but well, I think it's worth exploring. What do you think came first, the chicken or the egg?
The dinosaur.
No, look.
Allegedly.
Do you think that Malmsteen, using him as an example, became, let's call it the big personality
Yeah.
that he is, not to call arrogance, the big personality that he is, due to how good he became? Or do you think he became that good because he already had a big personality?
I think he has always been an ass.
Okay.
Okay. And I think that opened doors, being frank, because he's confident.
Mm-hmm.
And that confidence exudes many things. And one of them is I can invest in this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Why? He might be an asshole, but he clearly has self-respect. And he's gonna make sure that whatever he does doesn't make him look like a fool.
Yeah.
So that's already, and dude, that applies to business as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something that when you are looking for a business partner, I always prefer starting a business with someone who I could consider to be cocky than someone that I like, that I consider to be a nice guy. Because the nice guy won't have the testicular fortitude when shit hits the fan. And the prick is full on because my reputation is my name. I never fail, and that guy's gonna do whatever it takes for the success of the business. And I think that's why Imbi got to that stage. Partial, of course.
There's more to it.
He was there at the right time, right place, met the right people, blah 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 blah. So he played his card correctly.
Yeah.
And I can agree that he could be seen as narcissistic. I agree 100%. And he's the kind of people that is difficult to learn to appreciate. I'm gonna put it that way. And maybe I have some form of a soft spot for him because when he speaks, I see that he has gone through many of the things that I have faced as well at a personal level, okay? Because I have been seen and perceived as a narcissistic asshole the vast majority of my life. I'm not, but I am quite outspoken and I speak with confidence because I only talk about the stuff that I'm good at. I never dare to delve into territories that I am not confident on speaking of. And when I do it with total humbleness and asking questions. Because that's how you learn. And I can assure you this guy is similar to that. But it requires that level of confidence. And he's this close from not being confident, being perceived as arrogant and peacocky.
And look, that's him. I don't think anybody needs to be necessarily the next Malmsteen.
No.
But there is something to be learned that for sure. And he's an extreme. You don't need
he's
to
an
be
extreme.
A variant of that.
Yes.
But let's say you are on the other end of the spectrum. You're actually not confident enough.
Yeah.
There's definitely a skill to be learned there. Because that is way better, and way more productive, is way more prone to success to be overly confident than not confident enough. That's a given.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that confidence to the level of arrogance is gonna be a good thing.
No.
But it's way more likely for you to see an over arrogant person to be successful than a person that has low self-esteem.
Yeah. Think of, without going the political route or anything, but look at Donald Trump. He's basically that.
Yeah.
And it's basically that, and some people like it, some people hate it, some people simply can't stand the idea of him because they were told so, by wherever. I can agree with people when say, I don't like his personality. Yeah. That's totally legit. That's totally legit.
Yeah.
But judge him by his actions. That's where the difference happens, right? And opinions are totally valid. Yeah. But when it comes to analyzing the objective truth. But what I'm trying to say with this is that you need to have a certain amount of confidence. You need to have a certain amount of arrogance. And that's why I began this whole section with introducing the phrase that confidence is arrogance under control. There are moments in life on which you gotta be a little bit cocky. You need it. Not because it makes you feel good. It's because it's what gets you the girl. Being frank. Women, I'm going to use something that is more easy to understand, right? I'm not talking down to anybody. Simply put, it's an easier example, right?
It's universal.
It's a universal thing. Everybody can relate to this.
Yeah.
Girls love when you have some command over the situation because they're expecting you to be the leading force in many situations. In some is the opposite. But it's mostly on your end. Why? Because they find and they look for a man who is capable of making decisions on the spot, because that means that he has testicular fortitude. Therefore, there is a good chance that the kids would survive. It's basically that. And that's the universal part. You are married. Am I wrong?
No. And that's not even something that is a preference.
No.
This is beyond the cultural aspect of things.
Yeah,
this is just nature.
Ignore those vandals that are trying to convince you the way around. No, that's how it is.
Yeah.
And that applies to everything outside of relationships. Because if you use this in a business interaction, the handshake is there for a reason. If you limp-wrist it, you're gone. You're done for. Yeah. Nobody's going to listen to you on the meeting, and nobody's going to even pay attention to what you say. But if you do it with confidence, but you press too much, that guy's weak. Yeah. Why? He's trying to impress me.
Trying too hard.
Yes, he's trying too hard.
Yeah.
But when you do it, then, like Patrick Bateman, what's the name of this guy? The American Psycho. Yeah. We're all the psychoness. There is the firm handshake, as it said in Pink Floyd's Dogs. That a good look in the eye and an easy smile. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Because doing it with confidence, looking straight into that whoever is the one you're talking to, and the smile is there, not overly done. It's not faked, but it's not also psycho looking. It's an actual genuine smile.
Yeah.
Why? Because you should be genuine, and this means you should be happy to be meeting whoever you're talking to, because it might mean that it's a solution to your problem. Why wouldn't you be happy?
Yeah.
Or you're finally talking to a girl you like. You should be happy. She's looking at you. She's paying attention to what you're saying. Why aren't you happy? You're already exuding self-doubt.
Yeah.
So it begins from there. First, embrace life, and that's actually probably the most, the deepest we can get with this conversation.
Yeah.
Because even though it might suck monkey balls, and it happens to suck more often than not. Monkey balls. To be clear. If you enjoy or appreciate everything that comes with the moment, the good and the bad, people can see that. And sincerity is probably the best sales mechanism we got. And it begins with your family, the people that are closer to you, because how do you develop the confidence? How do you become strong enough to deal with frustration? By having a network of people that believes in what you sometimes doubt is there in you. And how do they believe in you? Because you show them. So develop that. That helps like you don't know how much. That's why.
If I may use that as a quick segue here, because the other side to what you're saying, creating this environment that allows you to actually be who you're meant to be. Also, you're talking from the angle of fostering the good, but I'm gonna tackle the angle of getting rid of the bad.
Yeah.
Because if you're feeling surrounded by people who are actually only dragging you down, or they are defeatists, they are the people that think that what you're doing is bullshit, that you won't go anywhere, you definitely need to get rid of that person from your life.
Yes.
And I say that this is the kind of stuff that's way easier said than done sometimes. Because from my perspective, to say for you to get rid of someone is easy.
Yeah.
But for you to get rid of someone is very hard.
Yeah, it's your problem.
But do take this into consideration, because you don't know how much a single person or a group of people can drag you down.
Can destroy your life.
Yeah.
100%. And there is a comment?
Okay, so Josh, that's good advice. Don't know which, but thank you.
Thank you, man. Yeah. Look, that's the whole point of these conversations, because if I can learn a thing or two about life, which I have lived way too much in way too little time, and I don't have to explain to you, but he knows a bit of the story. It's been freaking crazy. I have developed some form of wisdom, but not that I developed it. I got it like bam, because it was learning or dying.
Yeah.
Totally not kind of implying something. But it's the kind of shit that you truly begin to realize that it's part of everything. And maybe that's the reason why I embarked myself in this journey, the musical stuff, because it's been probably the toughest teacher that you could get, or at least I could get. Because my first guitar is somewhere here in the studio, and it's broken. I broke it by using it. Terrible, as a stupid kid. And when it broke, I got as a gift a good guitar finally, because the first one I bought it with my own money as a kid. So I broke it and it's still there as I left it, even with the same string that got left.
There's only one now.
And it's that one. Yeah. It's the last one, because when I was trying to fix it, I cut it. This is done for. So I left that one and I forgot it. So yeah, and it's been there for 20 more years, maybe. I don't know how many years at this stage. So, but I always look at it and I have never been able to say if it's something to be proud of or not, because of how many difficulties that decision that was buying that guitar has brought upon my life. Would I do it differently if I had the chance? No, man, because I understand that I'm doing this for a reason. There is a reason for why I'm autistic enough to stick to this in this insane fashion. But autistic enough to learn how to make myself capable of doing it, financially speaking. Yeah. Sometimes not that good, but yeah. But ups and downs. That's how it goes. So, in the end, I hope that I would be able to actually look at that guitar and think, yeah, it was the right decision. But for the time being, I'm not able to say it, because the good has been not necessarily better or bigger than the bad that has come out of that decision. But does that mean that I have to give up and be bitter on life? No. This has shown me that the first chapter was tough.
The next one
is still to be written, and it's on me. So if that has any value, I hope it does, because I think it does. Yeah. So final comments.
So I'll read the final comments, or I use it as a segue for my final comment. Josh here saying, yeah, you gotta fail a couple of times in order to succeed, and I agree, but I think it goes beyond that. I don't even think that you gotta. I think it will happen.
It will start to happen.
And I think the important to take into consideration that, or at least in my perspective, you can tell me what you think. Yeah. I don't think that failure is the antithesis to success. No. I think it's part of the journey too. Yeah. I think it's something that is gonna happen along the way.
Because it's very easy to look at Pink Floyd, for example. Of course they got it easy. Dude.
Did they?
You have no idea what happened behind doors. Yeah. You don't know how many nights they have to spend living under their desks. Yeah. And why? It's not for you to know, because that's probably shameful for them, or even painful to the point of it being like they feel pity. I don't know, man. Because why would you share the terrible aspect of your life when you can, and when you're Pink Floyd? Yeah. Just talk about the Floyd, man. Yeah. Because that's the part of is the stuff you did that actually makes sense and has value. The struggle, for as much as it's real, is yours and yours only. Because it's also in very bad taste to go out there and crying rivers and asking for support. And no, dude, that's not what a man does. You should face the music, realize that it's sucking. Yeah. Am I the one? Yeah, you're the perpetrator. That means I suck? No, that means that you suck now. Yeah. And you have the chance to fix it. So have you tried not sucking? That might help. Yeah. And that's probably the core teaching that life has to offer. Because and again, I said it manly. Yeah, of course, because that's the masculine attitude towards this situation. Yeah. But at the same time, you have to be a little bit feminine, and not in the progressive way. I mean, the actual femininity aspect. Because both have some aspects of it, but like nothing. And that means using your feelings, sentiments, and trying to see the emotional load it has on you, so you can deal with it as a man, not crying a river. Like, I gotta admit that I suck. I gotta admit that I'm terrible. I gotta admit that I'm weak mentally. My testicular fortitude is kind of lacking. And if I do that, by recognizing the mistakes, by recognizing your failures, by recognizing your weaknesses, you start at least knowing that you got places to work on. Yeah. So, final comments. There is one.
So Harry Maya said Rick Rubin.
Yes.
Got a good advice as well, and I'm reading his book. Good one.
How is the book? Because I'm this close from buying it. The thing is that I'm finished off some of my my collection right now, totally not investing in that freaking Hyperion Bible that it's bigger than I expected.
That's good.
Yeah, but I wanna buy it. What's the name? Posh. That's the Bruce Dickinson. But Rick Rubin is a very popular. He ruined Californication. He's a producer for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The thing is that it sounds like that because it was 2000. And just crank it up.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of the loudest war.
Look,
but he's a very good producer.
Josh, have you tried not sucking? That's a good quote. I'm gonna use it.
You just feel free to do it. Feel free to do it. It's not bad.
And let's comment here by Hermaya. Studying a lot and trying every day to make even more better mixes and songs.
Yes, please do. Please do. That's the solution. Because look, I learned that exercise that I shared with you. I had to learn it the hard way because there was a period of my career on which I worked a lot on a small production, video production. Okay, it was before AI, so I had to write the background music for documentaries, but a small production, nothing Hollywood level, right? Corporate videos, produce radio shows, and develop some radio ads, and everything required music, right? So, how do you write stuff for music for media when you are asked to do it 2 weeks already late? It's not on you. The director usually has a mess of a schedule, so they drop. This is the scene. Okay, it's 10 minutes. So this is the objective. This is the framing. This is the vibe. You have to learn some cinematography as well. That's why I'm so into that shit. And okay, but the release, the production house is expecting us to release it in 3 days. So you want me to have it finished, mixed, and ready? No, I want you to give me 3 options, 3 potential options. Finished, mixed, and ready. You got 3 days. If you were like, you fail. But if you're constantly exercising creativity, what you do? Easy. This is the scene. It looks like Clint Eastwood and it's kind of Western. Okay, spaghetti Western. What kind of instrumentation? Lap steel guitar. I got mine. Okay, what kind of amplifier? It's usually a Fender. I got my Fender. Okay. Now, the tricky part, scales. It's clearly you use a particular set of scales. Right now it's not in my head, but it has a particular progression. So instead of you sitting down and like, let me be creative. No, man. Do what? Because the director is expecting you to deliver something that is akin to that, because his vision is based on that. If you are cute and you try to convince you whistle your way around, nah, man, it's because this is a new take on Western. Man, come on. Calm down your horses. Robert Hermetics. I know that's a director. Freaking. I'm thinking of Back to the Future. Alan Silvestri. Yeah. Man, come on. And even him, when he did Back to the Future, it's clearly influenced by John Williams. But whatever. That's why it's important. So, tough job, handsomely rewarded. I'm not gonna deny that it's not a good job, but tough. It's stressful, very stressful. It might be Howard Shore when he did The Lord of the Rings. I think he had 3 weeks.
For real?
For the first movie, 3 freaking weeks, man.
Okay.
Because it was a Ruckus development.
Production, yeah.
Tough. But man, pressure and responsibility, and this is something I think it's important as well. We are so dumb as a species and as human beings that we need to be facing the music to actually get our shit together. Otherwise, you don't do it. You need pressure. So try to. No, I'm not suggesting for you to go to corner yourself in tough spots, but learn to appreciate urgency. If that makes sense. So
okay, so is that your closing comment?
Yes, just remind them of the Discord. I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, actually. Okay, so now I'm gonna take advantage of this moment to do a little bit of a shameless plug, because just today, in pursuit of fostering this community that's beginning to form over here, we want to be in touch with you guys. We want to have more communication. We started off a Discord today.
Discord server.
Discord server. and it's just up. I think he's procuring right now the link and is posting in the comments. And I definitely invite you to join there, because we can continue the conversation even outside of these live streams. It's great that you guys are here interacting with us live, and we invite you to continue doing so. But the conversation doesn't need to stop here.
Yes.
So that's why we're going for the Discord thing, and we hope to see you there.
Yeah. A little bit of a brief explanation of what's the plan for it. The plan is to, because we realize that we have plenty of comments coming back and forth between the different channels. It's a mess to coordinate, to answer to some comments, or we are aware that some of you leave comments after this. We click, there's a delay here. So as soon as we click over, some comments pops up and we are unable to answer back to those.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, sorry for those, but it's not us.
Yeah.
And we realize that every single cool kid on Twitch is doing Discord. So
yes,
I wanna be there
because I'm a cool kid.
Because
on Twitch,
I'm a cool kid. I don't even know what Twitch is, but I know that. Of course, I know what it is. But the idea for the Discord server is is basically a chat for those of you who are not familiar with it. It's a private chat. On which it's open to the public, of course. This one is open, but it's a private chat on which we can continue this conversation. So wherever conversation we start off, outside of the YouTube thing, and it's open 24/7. So if you leave a comment there, we are gonna be promised. We're gonna be taking a look at it every so often, daily. Any of us will be there. So we'll be talking about music that doesn't suck, for example. We can continue with these conversations over there, and even moving forward, I will be sharing some of my tricks and techniques, or wherever I'm working on the board here, mixing shit or producing something. And since I can say shit because we're already
over an hour,
we're safe. We're safe now. I will be posting short videos that I wouldn't post here on YouTube as a full-on tutorial, because you know what I mean? Yeah. And I will be posting those there, even when I'm working with my gear, with guitar pedals or stuff, and explaining them in a more expedited fashion, but divided in different groups. We will be having also one for the music analysis, which is music that doesn't suck. Yeah. And all sorts of shenanigans. Right now, it's the very first day. Even has a channel called Geekdom, the Geekdom trademark, on which we're going to be trying to add some extra stuff that is not music related, a little bit more of a lifestyle, if you wish, because we're going to be sharing. I just dropped a new video on the analysis channel, on which I'm covering the soundtrack for a video game. Because believe it or not, even though I hate video games, I actually have played basically everything. But I hate them for a reason. I hate new video games.
You hate it because you love it.
Yeah, I hate it because I love them. And so we're going to be adding a little bit of that, even the Warhammer shit, because you would be surprised how many memes I got. So, yeah, adding a little bit more of that outside of the music aspect conversation. So you are more than invited. It would be nice to have you there, because that way we can keep up with these kind of conversations outside of relying on the YouTube thing. And since it also has a voice chat function and even video chat, we can even organize some form of meet and greets if you wish. We're still thinking on how to do it. But
Jeremiah is here saying, first, nice, and then segue. I'm gonna spend the chat with a lot of Sabrina Carpenter's songs.
Please do, because
we're gonna make my day.
Once you join, you're gonna see that we're already spamming it, because we're testing it, and instead of doing it with actual test, this is a test now.
Just throwing
memes. That's the usual. So that's the whole point, and the idea is to start to develop this engagement and to bring people together. Yeah. Because I know that you've been here for longer than you are OGs of this channel. So you said we had to divide and move some of the content to different channels, because YouTube was treating us with the lowest end of the stick. Yeah. So we want to bring the trifecta, the three different segues that are still common, which is the music, into a community. And I think this is the best way to do it, because we can actually have this fun interaction. Yeah. And I know that Twitch is owned by Discord is owned by Twitch. Twitch is owned by Amazon, and Amazon is run by very open-minded individuals, if that makes sense to you. So just be careful. I'm just saying, right? Okay, the allegedly stuff. Okay. Yeah. you know what I mean, because you're free. I'm not going to tell you what to say. Just behave. But behave in like what was it? Austin Powers. He says,
I can do it.
I can do it. No, I can do it. No.
That not with that mojo.
No. He has the mojo.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. So yeah, the person should do that. Well, another sign that we have failed from heaven, wherever. So on that note, it will be awesome to have you there. And thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. And again, there are more things that we can say, but next week. And we're gonna try to even having you on board on the Discord. We can have some as the conversation evolves over there. We can see if we can take some of the stuff over there to the main shows. Okay. So thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Your final take, because I took over.
No, I think it's covered. And the whole thing about the secular fortitude, I think is a topic that we can go back to it again soon.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of angles to cover. I think it's very important. I think it's something that is kind of in deficit nowadays.
It is.
It has always been important. I think it's more than ever now because it's kind of a dying art.
It's more due to the lacking of rather than the need.
Yes. So I think we don't necessarily need to push this further, because I think we're gonna have to be tackling this in depth later on as well.
Yeah.
But I think we covered quite a lot of ground today. I think it was a good conversation. It was great having you guys here.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that can be it for today.
And if the Discord link failed, let us know, because we suck at it. We're learning the first day. I used it back in my days of World of Warcraft. Yeah. That's why they geeked them. But whatever. I use Ventrilo. So that's already telling you how long I've been playing. I used to play World of Warcraft. But whatever. On that note, thanks for joining, thanks for watching. If you want to support this channel, join the Discord, be part of this journey, and also follow us on Instagram and X, because that's the best way for you allegedly to stay in touch with us on a much more personal basis. But now I don't know. Allegedly is the key component to that one. And also support this channel further by listening to our music on Apple Music or Spotify. Look, now I learned how to use my fingers correctly. And on that note, the only thing left to be reminded is that you should never let anybody tell you what to do about, and for God's sake, try not sucking this time around. Okay, so remember that we'll see you when we see you. Yeah.